find your man. Red's a sailor's only daughter, a child of the water.
Inside the ManCave podcast show. Follow me at Johnny Compian on Twitter. Like and subscribe to my YouTube channel, Inside the ManCave podcast show. And follow me on IG and Facebook Meta. Thanks for joining me for another episode of Inside the ManCave podcast show. And I want to start off with Kiss. Kiss made a major announcement on the Howard Stern Show Wednesday morning.
When is the band going to officially end the tour? What's the details?
December 1st and 2nd is Madison Square Garden. Those are the last two shows of the band.
So that's interesting because I think we've been down this road before with Kiss. They had a lot of good little ear nuggets that they put out for me, because when you listen, you're like, okay, let me listen to what they're going to say. Are they going to say the same thing? Do they seem like this is it? And I think they are. I think more Paul Stanley than Gene Simmons.
So this is the end.
I'm sure I'm going to cry like a 9-year-old girl whose foot's being stepped on.
Because if it was up to Gene would go until he was done. He would sell every second of it. He would keep making money off this machine. And I don't blame him. If that's what he wants to do, if that's what he's created, and he can keep it up, then more power to him. I'm not going to hate on Gene Simmons. But listening to Paul Stanley, he sounded like, hey, you know what? He's talked about his age and, wanted to do more time painting and doing family time and spending a lot of time that he's missed on, from being on the road for years. So, yeah, I get that part. And they played a few tunes on the Howard Stern Show, which was cool. They did Shout It Out Loud. One of my favorite songs. I love Kiss. I'm a huge fan of Kiss. I was in the Kiss Army growing up. Not now, but when I was growing up, I was part of the Kiss Army. And I love seeing that. I love seeing Kiss. Seen them a few times. Seen them at the Hemisphere Arena. Creatures of the Night. It was A very interesting show because I was sick. I had this fever and I wasn't feeling well. And I was with my best friend, my neighbor, Joe Earl, who just passed. And so we go to the show. I had like third row. And I fainted. I was so sick. I fainted. Joe carried me all the way to the Denny's, called my parents, and had them pick me up. I said, dude, take the ticket. Your third row. Bring me a shirt back. He's like, all right. He takes off and very interesting. A very interesting night. I didn't get the shirt. I saw him wearing it, so I'm like, oh, cool. At least he has it. Never said anything about it. That's cool. He was my friend. Anyway, so on the Stern Show, they played Shout It Out Loud, Rock and Roll All Night, and Detroit Rock City. So that's cool. You know, that is vintage Kiss right there for me. And still the question is, like, is Kiss done? Because I remember seeing them in the reunion back in the day when Ace Frehley and Peter Criss came back and they were bringing the whole thing back and they moved. I had front row for that. It was at the Alamo Dome. And I caught a few pics that day. I think I got two Ace Frehleys. I got a Gene Simmons and a Paul Stanley pick. I mean, I hit the trifecta. I have them somewhere in my stuff. I need to bring those out because one of them possibly has DNA on it. Gene Simmons DNA. Because when I got it, it had that stuff on the blood or whatever. Because he flicked it and boom, I ended up getting it on my shirt. I was that close. It was a fun night. But yeah, I thought that was it. You know, I have the shirt. It's freaking old as hell. I folded it up and put it in a box into storage, and I put it away with a lot of vintage other concert shirts, like Ozfest shirts I never wore. Like Guns N' Roses, when Metallica and Guns N' Roses were touring. It's a lot of cool shirts. But yeah, I don't. The machine will always be producing that money because people are still going to buy the merch. All they have to do is rehash it, remix it, redo something, fit the anniversary, and we're going to buy it. Kiss fans, it doesn't matter. Vinyl's fucking $80 for one vinyl right now. It's crazy. But we'll pay for it because we love the music. We love the whole thing. We love the record store stuff right now. Speaking of, there's a record store day coming up. And they got some, I looked through the list already, and they have a few vinyls I want to pick up. I'll do a little thing on that. I'll go down the list again, and I'll write them down. I'll share them with you just in case you're going to try to go out and pick out a few vinyls that are released on Record Store Day. And that thing's become a joke, right? People that go line up in the morning and try to get all these limited edition vinyls, re-releases of movies. I mean, I like to do that, but I think I have enough. I don't need any more. So unless it's really cool and it's something that I really want to add to my collection, then I'll do it. Otherwise, I just don't buy it. It's kind of just overlook. Yeah. Anyway, back to the Kiss thing. So they had a lot of interesting comments and interesting storylines from the songs they wrote. Like I Was Made for Loving You. I really like that story that Gene and Paul talked about. And Howard is great at this. But I got something I don't know. I got a question. I'm not going to come at Howard because I don't know. I'm sure when you have a band like Kiss and you have the exclusive, they're like, hey, we're on just because of this. please don't bring this up. Because if it is the final show for the band Kiss, then why isn't Ace Frehley and Peter Criss a part of it? If Gene and Paul are saying, hey, we want to finish how we started.
We're finishing up where we started. I believe there's 17 shows before that in the States.
If Gene and Paul are saying, hey, we want to finish how we started, then wouldn't that be the right thing to do, right? I mean, I would think so. Even if it's for the last 2 songs or the last song, an encore. I mean, I think you need to do the right thing, Gene and Paul. I'm sure they'll never listen to this or get word of this, or maybe somebody that's more popular and has more viewers or has connections to like Eddie Trunk or Paul Stanley. I mean, on social media is very powerful. We all know that. If you push something and you really, really want to get it to a certain person or a topic, there's ways to do it. I mean, there's ways to do it. So, yeah, I that's really interesting to me because that's what I think should happen. I think that Paul and Gene need to pick up that phone and call Ace and Peter. They're fine, man. They're ready to go. If you want to start like you finish, like you're saying, then do the right thing. Bring the original back and close it out. I think that would be so cool. I think that would be such a class act, which I don't know, because Paul Stanley, if you Kiss fans know more than I do, and I'm a Kiss fan, but I'm not like a major, like anytime they're around Texas, I'm going to go to every show. No, I'm not that big of a fan. But I'm a fan since I was growing up, yeah. But I'm not, they haven't shown me anything new. So when you go to a Kiss show, yeah, it's exciting and this and that, the confetti, the fire, the blood, okay, we all know. So when you go to a Kiss show, when you've been to one 100 times, you're like, I've already seen this, man. Let's see what's trending on Twitter. That's kind of the way I am when I go to a Kiss show. I already know what it's about. You haven't come up with any new music. I think they're capable. I just think they're riding that wave out. Nothing wrong with it, but as a music fan, I got a problem with them just kind of just stopping and say, hey, look, we're going to play the hits and that's it. I like what Metallica's doing. I really do. I really love what Metallica's doing because I was thinking about this, because I'm a huge music freak and a concert freak. But since after the pandemic, I think things have really changed, and it's really just knocked us off of our whole thing of how we do concerts and how we approach concerts. Now it's different. I don't feel the same when you go to a concert or anything like that. I don't know. I mean, how do you guys feel about that? It's just a question. I don't have an agenda or anything. It's just, yeah. But getting back to my point, Kiss hasn't put anything, and the music topic I was talking about, Metallica has been very consistent. They've been very, 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 very consistent with touring, music, social media, videos. They're still doing it all. You don't hear them say, hey, you know what? We do not have enough money to go tour, so we're just going to just sit on our hands and just wait for an opportunity. Metallica has been consistent for years. I think after Robert Trujillo came in, I think that band really felt that connection with him, where they have just taken it to the next level. where you think it was going to fade out. And this is for a pure Metallica fan, right? I mean, because you got your avid fans that are just, I'll listen to, what is it? Master of Puppets. And I mean, but Metallica has really, really they've gone over and beyond with their efforts to always keep the fan engaged and excited about things. I remember a few years ago, they were releasing these songs one by one, hour after hour, early in the morning, like 2, 3, 4, 5. And I was up. I wanted to hear them. I wanted to hear what Metallica had been up to. And I'm sitting up and waiting, excited. That is a great thing for fans. I love that. I love the way they do it. Take it if you want. If you don't, you don't have to. But I'm sure the analytics show them like, hey, people are very engaged in anything that you touch or do. Yeah, James has been through his troubles. They've had, all this thing with that band, and all of a sudden, that's cool because they document these things and they release them. Some Kind of Monster was cool. So you kind of get to go inside and see. It's like the band, right? But yeah, I was thinking about like who else is out there that's left that's like this, who's putting out like music, and they're getting ready to release their album. I think April 13th, and they released the third single. If Darkness Had a Sun. I love the day before they did something on Instagram where, how they were doing it when the pandemic, everybody was jamming from their house and they were all wired up and had cameras following them. And it was so cool because Trujillo's in his kitchen with his bass and he's, drinking some coffee or tea or whatever, and then starts jamming. And they're showing all of them in different screens, 4 screens. Here's the video. Check it out. Who is left out there? Guns N' Roses? Are they still delivering? Yeah, they're touring and they're coming to the Alamo Dome, which they might not because we had a major storm pass through Texas earlier, and there was news that the roof, I guess it had a hole in it, and there was hail coming in, and they were having a high school basketball tournament going on, and they had to leave the court. You could see the hail coming down. Very interesting story. I saw that. I was like, oh no. I digress. So, yeah, Guns N' Roses, who will be playing at the Alamo Dome if they get the repairs done in time. I mean, are they still doing what Metallica's doing? Are they still putting out music and social stuff that they're getting you like, man, I'm excited, the new Guns N' Roses, this and that? Nothing, right? I did some research and nothing. I love what Guns N' Roses has done in the past, from their beginning to, their recent releases, Use Your Illusions 1 and 2. One of my favorites. But anything after that, you're like, you're kind of, it's been a while, right? Def Leppard, same thing. Yeah, they're out with Motley Crue, stadium tour. But yeah, they sound great. I saw them a few times recently. And they put out a song, and it was just really slow and sappy and like, something like Wasted or Me and My Wine, nothing like that, vintage. And I know that's like a deep fan, right? Motley Crue, here we go. I mean, do they still have it? Touring wise, there's a lot of questions. Vince is still the one who is being questioned. Supposedly you got rid of a problem, which was that Mick was too loud and blah, 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 and he was playing over everybody. That was something that was going on Twitter. I don't know if it's true or not. Probably not. Anyway, so Mick Mars is out. John 5 is in. The tour continues. They're trying to rebrand. I saw some shirts they have on motleycrue.com, and they put in John 5. There's pictures of the new lineup. I mean, is that enough? Is that enough to get you excited about Motley Crue? Like, yeah, they did think that with that. They did do that song with Machine Gun Kelly when they did the Netflix thing, and yeah, anything that Motley touches is gonna sell and keep going. But these guys, I think they could do a little bit more. And it's rough to kind of put these guys out there because Kiss hasn't recorded anything new. Guns N' Roses, no. Def Leppard here and there, new stuff, but it's really... Judas Priest is another one. Judas Priest, I mean, do they still got... I mean, of course, Rob Halford is still going out there and, putting out those tunes. Glenn Tipton, dealing with Parkinson's, he's limited, and who knows how long he's going to tour with Judas Priest. I saw a tweet saying that they were going to hire one of the backups, for good. So maybe that's it for Glenn Tipton. He's not going to tour no more. But they haven't put anything new out. It's been a few years, right? I don't know. I just want to know if it's over. Are we just riding out? I mean, Metallica seems like the only one. Metallica seems like the only band who's out there putting out good music, keeping us engaged on social media. For, there's a crowd of people who really, or a generation of people who love social media now. How you get your music, how you do this. You don't have to go out and buy the CD. You don't have to go out and do that, but some people like to still go out and buy the vinyl when they release it. So yeah, I like doing that, but you're not getting new Motley Crue, which we probably don't want to, right? Because I think Vince is done. And I saw something on Twitter a couple of days back, and they were saying, hey, Vince was caught lip syncing. Well, I don't put it past them. They're just trying to get through, man. Whatever. Doesn't matter at this point. They do need to if you're going to replace Mick Mars, and this is on the Motley topic. If you're going to replace Mick Mars, a major component, which you can already tell, it doesn't sound the same because John 5 is trying to harmonize with the guys, and it's like, no, that's not the way it's done. Like, don't do it that way. Motley fans don't want change all of a sudden after all these years, 40 plus years. We don't want you to change Home Sweet Home. We want it the way Mick Mars did it. But they're pushing it on us. Nikki's like, dude, nope. Well, Nikki, if you have that kind of power, then fire Vince again. Fire Vince again. Go out, recruit one of your best friends, or another best friend, or have an audition, right? And bring in somebody that can get that crowd. Because I know I'm going to go out there on a limb right now. I'm going to bring up a name, and some people are going to be like, who is that? Okay, but I've heard this guy sing in Vegas. His name is Kid Hollywood. And he is, he's a good singer and a showman. And they do this 80s thing. And Spandex Nation. This guy, he could do it. And if you did, if you would fill that void, I think Motley Crue would have a different sound, but they would sound decent live. When you hear Metallica live, you're like, that's Metallica. It's like hard and heavy. It's in your face. You can feel it, and it just feels good. So there's not a lot of live bands that are good. Judas Priest is good, but it's not their guitars are not there without KK Downey and Glenn Tipton. It's not there. It takes a lot to keep an engine roaring like a Judas Priest and a Motley Crue. Def Leppard sounds great. Vivian Campbell and those guys, they jam. Rick Savage, Joe Elliott, they work at their craft. They want to succeed. They want to be good when they come out and to entertain you when you pay a lot of money for your tickets. They want to come out and entertain you. They don't want to go out there and make you sing the whole time because they don't want to do it. That's what Vince is known for. He's always pointing at mic, sing it. And I'll sing behind you guys and behind the lip sync stuff too. I'm joking. So, another big question. Ozzy Osbourne. He says he's retired. He was upset. He was on Ozzy's Boneyard on XM, which is his channel. And he's on with the guy who hosted the Ozzy's Boneyard. And they do this. They're good friends, the DJ and Ozzy. And, they talk, and it's cool because you get to really hear what Ozzy wants to talk about. He doesn't go into a radio station and is bombarded with different questions. So Ozzy was upset about how the media really put it out there that he was done. He was retired from touring. And I even talked about it. I was like, dude, this can't be it. I mean, you can go back and listen to the podcast I put out when Ozzy made that. It was a bummed out day. I was like, no way. But of course, you got to always, when you do this kind of stuff, you got to always stay on top of the topic, because once it gets back, I tell you guys, some of these media outlets or social media sites, they can get the word out there. And look, it got back to Ozzy. He saw it right in his face. And he's like, dude, that's not what I'm trying to say. I mean, so Ozzy's kind of hinting that he's not done touring. I heard that something's brewing with that. And that's cool. I mean, I'd love to see Ozzy again. I mean, could we see him? I can see this. I can see this with a lot of bands. Can we see this in Las Vegas for the new Hard Rock? The Mirage is going away. They're going to put in the Hard Rock Cafe there. I mean, Hard Rock Casino. It's going to be a big guitar. That's where I always would stay at the Mirage. I love that place. It's in the center of the Strip. You can get everywhere from right there. Well, my places I wanted to frequent. But is that a place for Ozzy? He doesn't have to go anywhere. He could be like Elton John. Elton's retired already from touring, or is he just done? Is he still doing Vegas? Who knows? But he can do that. He can just hang out, be next door to Elton John, and do a residency at the Hard Rock or at Caesars or wherever they would pick him up. There's plenty of venues that would have Ozzy, right? He looked good the other day. I saw him. I saw the video and some of the comments. He came out, and I'll try to get those comments. You can listen to him and tell me what you think. Is Ozzy done? And if he is, another band to bring up, if it's ever going to put out or come out again, they did the End tour. I'm speaking of Black Sabbath. If Ozzy's done, are you going to put Black Sabbath residency in Vegas as well? Can you imagine that? Well, Dio can't do it. Dio's been gone. And if Ozzy can't do it, Ozzy's not going to do. If he won't do the residency and he's like, you know what, I'm done. I'm moving to England. I'm done. Or he can just fly to the States and be in Vegas for a month and then go back to the UK. Who knows? But if not, Black Sabbath. I've been thinking about this. Who do we have? We had Ronnie James Dio, Ian Gillan, Ozzy Osbourne. If they had to get somebody else, who would that singer be? At Johnny Compian on Twitter. And you can also support the podcast show on anchor.fm/Johnny5150.